Hi, and welcome to a partner series to HERstory on the Rocks podcast, HERstory Top 10, where you will get 10 interesting facts about women in history. In this series, I will talk about good women, bad women, fictional women, and non-fictional women from all times and places because women have nuance. Today, we are digging deep into the boop-boop-be-doop girl herself, Betty Boop. One, in 1930, Max Fleischer created what will become arguably his most famous character, Betty Boop. But she wasn't his only creation. Max was also famous for his animation of Felix the Cat and Popeye the Sailor Man. 2. Betty's first appearance was in a cartoon called Dizzy Dishes, where she played a lounge singer. However, unlike the spicy little human Betty we know and love now, she wasn't human at all. She was a dog, a French poodle to be exact. Her most notable puppy feature were her long ears that later became earrings. 3. Many of Betty Boop's early storylines involved her clothing. Unfortunately, the main note the cartoonists hit with Betty was male infatuation with her body. Her skirt would blow up, her top would fall down, male characters would peep up her skirt, and even take off her clothing. 4. Fleischer Studios produced one full-color cartoon of Betty Boop in which she played a Cinderella-type character. And get this, instead of her jet black do, in this rendition, Betty Boop was depicted with red hair. 5. Before the Hayes Act in 1930, Betty was typically pictured as an independent and fairly seductive young woman. However, after the Hayes Act began strictly being enforced, Betty was censored, as were many of the motion pictures in the United States. Betty was given a long-term boyfriend, more modest clothing, and was shown completing tasks that were seen as acceptable for women, such as cooking, cleaning, and caring for children. And of course, she could forget her long nights of bartending. It was time to be a teacher, a nurse, a secretary, or a homemaker. 6. Betty Boop's looks were modeled after Clara Bow. Clara was a famous silent film actress in the 1920s. Her most famous role was as a plucky shopkeeper in the film It, which earned her the nickname the It Girl. 7. Betty's voice, however, was recorded to resemble a style of performance known as baby vamp. Specifically, Betty was made to resemble Helen Kane. Helen was an American singer and actress whose signature song was I Want to Be Loved by You from the year 1928. 8. Helen Kane ended up suing Fleischer Studios, saying that they stole her act and were profiting from it. The case went all the way to the Supreme Court in The People versus Betty Boop. At one point, the courtroom stenographer was so frustrated in typing boop boop be doops that he threw up his hands. 9. Turns out, Helen Kane did not win the case because the defense found one key component, Esther Jones. Esther, an African-American woman, had been doing her act at the Cottonmouth Club in Harlem long before Helen, and Helen actually stole Esther's style for her hit song. Ellen Kane could therefore not be given any compensation for Betty Boop because the act was not hers either. It was Esther's. So among other things, Betty Boop opened the conversation about race in Hollywood. And 10. Today, 250 companies in the United States and at least 250 more worldwide are licensed to sell official Betty Boop merchandise. She is also the focus of multiple fan clubs, and Betty is one of the most well-known and recognizable cartoon characters in the world. This has been another episode of Her Story Top 10, providing you with 10 quick, interesting facts about a famous woman from history. Don't forget to like and subscribe below and leave a comment about who you would like to learn more about. For extended information on Betty Boop, download our full podcast on her life at Her Story on the Rocks, available on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, or Spotify. And don't forget, well-behaved women rarely make history.